Beneath the shimmering surface of what we think we know about the name Rockefeller lies a deeper, more intricate narrative, one that defies conventional understanding. It is a family saga that is not only about the accumulation of an unfathomably vast financial empire. It is also about the wielding of that immense wealth as a silent yet potent force, one that often operates beyond the public eye and shapes policies, bends rules, and sometimes, as whispered rumors suggest, even alters destinies. As we peel back the layers of time, we encounter a dynastic tale that challenges the audience to look beyond the visible, to question the known, and to explore the depths of a legacy that continues to influence our world in ways we are only beginning to understand. Cleveland, Ohio, on the brink of the 19th century, a collage of hardy souls, undaunted dreams, and fierce determination. It's here, treading through the thunder of steel on rail and the symphony of industry piercing the crisp Midwestern sky, where our story begins. We meet a young John D. Rockefeller, a man not born great, but upon whom greatness would be bestowed by the trials of life. Young John's eyes reflect an old soul, a wisdom gifted by his devout mother, Eliza Davison. A pillar of steadfast religious faith, she has imparted in her son the invaluable lessons of charity, frugality, and financial stewardship. In the muted glow of candlelight, John faithfully absorbed these lessons, his handwritten ledger of daily expenditures a constant companion. However, even as he wrote, his father's shadow filled the room. His father, William Avery Rockefeller, a man with a chameleon-like charm and a penchant for high stakes, peddled his miracle potions. Blending a mix of naive hope and snake oil, he sold dreams to the desperate and unsuspecting. This tension, an intricate waltz between integrity and deception, forms the foundation of the Rockefeller family's destiny. Each moment adds a new layer of resolve. The quiet diligence from a mother's teachings and the ruthless business cunning kindled by a father's guile. Embark with us on this journey from the freshly minted wealth of the new money Rockefellers to the prestigious old money dynasty John would build, as we describe. How the Rockefeller family went from new money to old money. Our saga begins in New York State, where our pivotal protagonist, John D. Rockefeller, first experienced life's trials and triumphs. Raised by his devout Baptist mother, Eliza Davison, Rockefeller learned the virtues of charity, frugality, and the effective management of money from an early age. This foundational training would later become the bedrock of his extraordinary business acumen. However, to fully comprehend the twists and turns of this familial odyssey from rags to riches, we must introduce an almost Dickensian character, John D's father, William Avery Rockefeller. Far from the righteous path his wife tread, William Avery lived a life of flamboyant ruses. As a traveling salesman, he peddled miracle potions with the grand promise of healing any affliction, from insignificant ailments to terminal diseases. Astoundingly, the key ingredient of these elixirs was petroleum, a substance that, unbeknownst to young John, would power his future, paving his way towards becoming America's first billionaire. William Avery, however, bore a less than reputable reputation. He was a man of questionable integrity, dabbling in horse thievery, and habitually tangling with the law. His unorthodox antics eventually led to a forced relocation to Cleveland, Ohio, a move that uprooted young Rockefeller from his childhood home in upstate New York. Eliza Rockefeller, a figure of steadfast faith and resilience, stood as the counterpoint to William Avery's volatile lifestyle. Eliza's devout religiosity played a significant role in shaping young John D. Rockefeller's worldview, infusing his business strategies with a sense of moral responsibility and ethical diligence that would remain with him throughout his life. Now, despite William Avery's dubious character, he surprisingly harbored a staunch belief in the power of education. As such, he enrolled John D. and his brother William at Cleveland's Central High School, the country's first free public high school west of the Allegheny Mountains. This experience instilled a strong sense of independence in John D., particularly during his father's frequent, lengthy absences. And remarkably, these absences were not without their silver lining. When he did indeed return, William Avery's penchant for deception extended to his own son, with John D's father himself once bragging, "I cheat my boys every chance I get. I want to make 'em sharp." This unconventional paternal approach, however, inadvertently honed Rockefeller's business instincts. His early exposure to his father's swindles molded him into a shrewd negotiator. a business hawk with an eagle eye for spotting potential pitfalls and deceptive maneuvers in the commercial arena. The motherly figure of Eliza Davison, however, was the enduring, guiding beacon in John Dee's life. Over the course of his life, he progressively distanced himself from his father, while his mother's influence and memory only amplified. Her teachings left an indelible mark on Rockefeller, who would go on to recall, "From the beginning, I was trained to work, to save, and to give." Upon completion of his education, Rockefeller, now seasoned with both life and business experience, found his heart's delight in his high school sweetheart Laura Spellman, marking the close of one eventful chapter and the dawn of another in his remarkable journey. John D. Rockefeller's business journey, one marked by scrupulous financial acumen and towering ambition, began in September 1855, when at just 16 he entered the business world as an assistant bookkeeper for a small produce commission firm, Hewitt and Tuttle in Cleveland. Even then, his meticulous nature shone through, keeping detailed ledgers that accounted for every cent in his possession. A staunch advocate of charity, Rockefeller adhered to the concept of tithing from his earliest days of earning income for himself, committing 10% of his earnings to charitable causes. In 1859, Rockefeller partnered with Morris B. Clark, launching a produce commission business. They raised $4,000, more than $100,000 in today's dollars, a sizable capital for the time. The Civil War period proved lucrative, as the Union Army's demand for supplies soared. However, it was towards the end of the conflict, as the prospect of wartime profits faded, that Rockefeller and Clark turned their attention towards oil refining. The true turning point came in 1866, when John's brother, William Rockefeller Jr., built another refinery in Cleveland, pulling John into the partnership. In 1867, Henry Morrison Flagler joined them, establishing Rockefeller, Andrews and Flagler, which rapidly grew to be the world's largest oil refinery. This operation laid the foundation for Standard Oil, officially formed on January 10, 1870, which embarked on an aggressive campaign to consolidate the oil market. Known as the Cleveland Conquest or the Cleveland Massacre, Standard Oil in less than 4 months in 1872 absorbed 22 of its 26 Cleveland competitors. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled approximately 90% of all oil refineries and pipelines in the United States, allowing Rockefeller to effectively dictate the entire industry's pace and direction. However, Rockefeller's strategies were not without benefits for the public. Before 1870, only the affluent could afford oil light, provided by expensive whale oil. However, in the following decade, thanks to the economies of scale realized by Standard Oil, kerosene became widely accessible to the working and middle classes. Yet these business practices, including underselling, differential pricing, and secret transportation rebates, also invited controversy. And by 1880, Standard Oil was reported by the media as the most cruel, impudent, pitiless, and grasping monopoly that ever fastened upon a country. The intense criticism led to the creation of the Standard Oil Trust in 1882, a corporation of corporations, to centralize Rockefeller's holdings, which further stirred public suspicion. Despite these challenges, Standard Oil stood resilient, consistently making profits year after year, achieving an aura of invincibility and unparalleled wealth. Ida Tarbell, a journalist, would ultimately lead a movement to challenge this behemoth. Her meticulous investigation, culminating in a series of damning articles, exposed Standard Oil's ruthless tactics and ultimately contributed to the dissolution of Standard Oil as a monopoly, leading to the Clayton Antitrust Act. Without fully throwing in the towel, Rockefeller started looking at his transition into retirement while still seeking to preserve his wealth and transform his new money into the more enduring old money. He diversified his investments and launched the Rockefeller Foundation in 1913 with an initial donation of $100 million, broadening his legacy beyond oil and industry, highlighting his commitment to philanthropy. However, his rise from a new money tycoon to an old money patriarch was marred by personal challenges and public scorn, with some speculating that the relentless scrutiny caused Rockefeller to develop alopecia. Despite these obstacles, the name Rockefeller had a journey from poverty to the patriarch of one of America's most powerful families that was only just beginning as he passed control of his dynasty to the next generation. Now, John D. Rockefeller was not merely an astute businessman, he was also an ardent practitioner of old money principles, such as long-term financial planning, privacy, understated elegance, philanthropy, and thrift. These were the values he instilled in his children, ensuring the Rockefeller legacy would span generations. In contrast to the new money families of the Gilded Age, the Rockefellers adopted a more discreet and sustainable approach to wealth. Consider the Vanderbilt and Gould families, prominent figures of the Gilded Age whom epitomized new money opulence. Cornelius Vanderbilt, renowned for his empire of steamships and the New York Central Railroad, celebrated his fortune with a flourish. The manifestation of his wealth was particularly evident in his family's real estate purchases. The family commissioned grand mansions that showcased their affluence, such as the opulent Vanderbilt mansions on Fifth Avenue, which stood as symbols of their enormous wealth. These included the Triple Palace, a trio of residences designed by famed architects and decorated with marble, gold, and other precious materials. In addition to these residences, Cornelius Vanderbilt II acquired an expensive townhouse on 57th Street, which later had to be sold due to financial strain. Additionally, the Marble House, built by William Kissam Vanderbilt in Newport, Rhode Island, was another display of the Vanderbilt fortune. This lavish mansion, however, was eventually sold due to its exorbitant upkeep costs. Their penchant for grandeur extended to their social events as well, with the Vanderbilt Costume Ball of 1883, a $1 million spectacle, immortalizing their penchant for lavish spending. However, the Vanderbilts' unchecked extravagance, combined with their neglect of long-term financial planning, ultimately led to the erosion of their substantial fortune. This financial mismanagement left many of their descendants grappling with relative poverty, a stark contrast to their forebears' opulence. Similarly, the Gould family, led by railroad magnate Jay Gould, failed to preserve their wealth across generations. Jay Gould was famed for his extravagant lifestyle, evident in his creation of Lyndhurst, a sprawling Gothic revival mansion. His offspring mirrored his extravagance, erecting impressive residences such as a castle-like mansion in Lakewood, New Jersey, and a French chateau-inspired mansion in Tarrytown, New York. However, the Goulds mirrored the Vanderbilts in their lack of emphasis on sustained wealth management. George J. Gould II and Jay Gould II, descendants of this once affluent lineage, pursued commendable careers, yet the family fortune dwindled over time. After George J. Gould's demise, their once formidable wealth had practically evaporated, resulting in their descendants leading lives far from their opulent heritage. Today, the Vanderbilt and Gould legacies serve as potent reminders of the impermanence of wealth without prudent stewardship. The next generation of Rockefellers, however, took a different path, rooted in the old money traditions of privacy, thrift, and philanthropy. These principles played out vividly in the lives of John D. Rockefeller Sr.'s children. John D. Rockefeller Jr., the only son and the primary heir, inherited not only his father's vast fortune, but also his commitment to philanthropy. He financed the construction of the Rockefeller Center in New York and restored colonial Williamsburg, among many other philanthropic endeavors. Yet, despite his eye-watering size of income, he lived a relatively modest lifestyle, avoiding public displays of wealth and maintaining a strong focus on his family. Similarly, Rockefeller's daughters also embodied the old money principles. Elizabeth, the eldest, married a banker and led a private life out of the public eye. Alice, despite suffering from various health issues throughout her life, was known for her philanthropy and carried the family tradition of supporting educational and health causes. Alta, the third child, married a scientist and focused her efforts on supporting scientific research. Edith, the youngest, devoted herself to music and philanthropy, continuing the family's commitment to giving back to society. However, embodying old money principles did not exempt the Rockefeller children from difficulties. John D. Rockefeller Jr., for instance, was often criticized for his ruthless business practices, just like his father. Similarly, Alice struggled with her health, suffering from various illnesses throughout her life. The public scrutiny that came with the Rockefeller name was also a constant source of stress for the family. Yet despite these challenges, the old money principles continued to guide them. The Rockefeller children, following their father's example, sought to preserve their wealth for future generations, focusing on long-term financial planning rather than short-term gain. They understood the importance of privacy, choosing to live away from the public eye. They embraced understated elegance, and avoided the ostentatious displays of wealth common among new money families. The financial landscape of America's Gilded Age was indeed a volatile crucible, with fortunes being made and lost almost overnight. Within this climate, a distinction arose between new money, the freshly minted wealth of entrepreneurs and industrialists, and old money, the inherited wealth of established families that had accumulated assets over generations. The terms encapsulated more than just the age of wealth. They signified cultural differences, social acceptability, and the capacity for wealth preservation. The Rockefellers, beginning as new money, were no strangers to this volatility. However, their pragmatic approach to wealth accumulation and preservation arguably allowed them to transition into the esteemed category of old money. Key to this transformation was their ability to integrate into high society and form strategic alliances through marriage. The family made insightful choices in matrimony, aligning themselves with well-established families through advantageous marriages. John D. Rockefeller Jr., the sole son of John D. Rockefeller Sr., set the pace in 1901 when he married Abby Aldrich. Abby wasn't just any bride. She was the daughter of U.S. Senator Nelson W. Aldrich, a political powerhouse whose influence stretched from Wall Street to Washington. The Aldrich family had a strong political lineage, and this marital alliance thrust the Rockefellers into significant political circles, offering them not just social prominence, but also a chance to influence policy. Their progeny, representing the third generation of the Rockefellers, adopted this pattern of strategically beneficial marriages. In 1930, Nelson Rockefeller, later to become the Vice President of the United States, married Mary Todhunter Clark. Mary came from an esteemed Philadelphia family known for its quiet yet significant influence in the city's legal and civic affairs. These unions were not solely about the joining of two individuals, but rather about the confluence of power, influence, and long-standing family heritage. The Rockefellers also distinguished themselves through public service and philanthropy. As previously noted, Nelson held the high office of Vice President under President Gerald Ford, reinforcing the family's presence in the nation's political sphere. Simultaneously, his brother Lawrence carved out a niche as a venture capitalist and passionate conservationist, contributing to the preservation of natural habitats and environmental sustainability. Continuing the family's trajectory in public service, John D. Rockefeller IV, more commonly called Jay, Nelson's nephew and a fourth-generation Rockefeller, built a significant political career. Born in 1937, Jay served as West Virginia's Secretary of State and later as the state's governor, impressively holding office from 1977 to 1985. In 1984, he was elected to the United States Senate, serving 5 terms until he decided not to seek re-election in 2014. As a senator, Jay championed issues such as healthcare reform and internet privacy, thus maintaining the family's tradition of public service. Additionally, embedded in the core of the Rockefeller family's legacy is their remarkable philanthropy. The Rockefellers became known as patrons of education and the arts, helping to shape America's cultural landscape. They lent their considerable resources to institutions such as the University of Chicago and the Museum of Modern Art. This deep-rooted philanthropy wasn't simply about donating money, it was an essential tool for shaping their public persona, showcasing their commitment to societal advancement. Yet alongside this is their equally noteworthy ability to amass and preserve substantial wealth. This duality reflects the character of John D. Rockefeller himself, who was known to be a ruthless businessman, yet an incredibly generous philanthropist. Their philanthropic ventures were strategic. They served to not only improve public welfare, but also to bolster their societal standing, assisting in their seamless transition from new money to old money. Through these actions, the Rockefellers were not just cementing their place within societal elites, but also highlighting their dedication to the public good. Therefore, simultaneously, the Rockefellers adopted several strategies to safeguard their wealth, ensuring that it would endure across generations. One significant step in this regard was the establishment of the Rockefeller Foundation in 1913. This move was more than an act of charity. It was a calculated effort to shield their wealth from heavy estate taxes, thereby allowing it to grow and benefit society simultaneously. Over time, the Foundation's immense contributions to public health, education, and arts helped to further establish and fortify the Rockefeller name. Trusts also played a critical role in their wealth preservation strategy. John D. Rockefeller Sr. formed his first trust in 1891, transferring a significant portion of his fortune to it. This move offered both tax advantages and protection against potential heirs' mismanagement, thereby ensuring the continuity of the Rockefeller fortune. In addition, the Rockefellers innovatively used holding companies to manage their diverse business interests. These corporate structures provided a protective shield for their wealth, while also promoting growth. This use of corporate entities set a precedent for future wealthy families, showing how wealth could be protected and multiplied simultaneously. As such, the Rockefellers are a perfect example of how one family managed to become synonymous with philanthropy while maintaining an iron grip on their wealth, demonstrating a duality that has become part of their enduring legacy. In the opening years of the 20th century, the Rockefeller dynasty stood as an unassailable pillar of American affluence and influence. Furthermore, their palatial estates sprawled across prominent landscapes from the bustling heart of New York to the sun-kissed shores of Florida and the opulent retreats in Newport. These were not merely homes, but grandiose statements of wealth and architectural prowess. However, the looming shadow of the Great Depression would come to eclipse even these illustrious sanctuaries, compelling the family to part with many of their treasured possessions. In today's episode of Old Money Mansions, we'll guide you through the riveting narrative of these lost Rockefeller mansions, telling the full saga of why these lavish homes were relinquished, what transpired in the aftermath of their sales, and whether the parting was a mere financial exigency or an emblematic shift in the American social class system. First on our list, we enter the John D. Rockefeller mansion. But first, a quick history lesson. You see, in the 1860s, amidst the chaos of the Civil War, Fifth Avenue and 54th Street in Manhattan remained a barren stretch of land, until William P. Williams, a prosperous merchant, would choose this location to construct a lavish brownstone mansion at 4 West 54th Street in 1864. Indeed, the mansion was an elegant abode, an embodiment of Williams's prosperity and an early marker of the neighborhood's potential. Simultaneously, in the southern charm of Richmond, Virginia, Catherine Yarrington managed a boarding house to support her family following her husband's demise. Among her 5 children was a 19-year-old Arabella, a young woman who radiated beauty and had a penchant for inviting drama into her life. Her life took a significant turn when Collis P. Huntington, a married New York Railroad magnate, initiated a passionate relationship with her. Subsequently, the Yarrington clan relocated to the Big Apple in 1869. After this, Arabella soon had a child, Archer Worsham, whose paternity was a subject of much gossip. The general consensus, though unverified, was that Archer was indeed Huntington's son. With a newfound financial cushion, Arabella secured the brownstone mansion at 4 West 54th Street. Though the home showed signs of architectural aging, she was thrilled. It was situated in one of Manhattan's most coveted districts. However, Arabella yearned for something more than mere high society prestige. She envisioned a complete metamorphosis, not just of her social standing, but also her living space. Money being no hindrance, she spearheaded a full-scale renovation, employing top-notch decorating firms of the time, such as George A. Shasty or Potier and Stymers. Stepping into Arabella's home was like entering a realm of fantasies. It boasted a Turkish bath, a Japanese bedroom with ebonized woodwork, and a dazzling chandelier crafted in silver and gilt. The smoking room was a spectacle of Moorish charm. Ceilings featured intricate designs, mantels showcased exotic woodwork. While artisans labored to perfect each detail, Arabella and her young son ventured on international excursions, returning to an abode completely altered in both form and spirit. Yet Arabella, always the shrewd entrepreneur, decided to sell the mansion following her husband's death. John D. Rockefeller, the legendary oil tycoon, would soon acquire the property, marking the inception of another chapter in the mansion's storied existence. Sadly, its architectural splendor was not universally appreciated. John D. Rockefeller Jr. salvaged 2 rooms for museums in New York, but the rest of the house faced the wrecking ball, unable to align with modern architectural sensibilities. The final act for the mansion came when Abby Rockefeller, John's spouse, co-established the Museum of Modern Art's Sculpture Garden on its grounds. The mansion's rich and multifaceted past gradually receded, marking the end of a unique chapter in the story of Victorian domestic architecture. At the number 2 slot in our historic inventory, Rockwood Hall emerges as a paragon of the Gilded Age, a remarkable residence in Mount Pleasant, New York. Established in 1849, the mansion's lineage included distinguished individuals such as Alexander Slidell Mackenzie and William Henry Aspinwall. However, its transformation into a veritable palace occurred under the ownership of William Rockefeller, John D. Rockefeller's brother. William expanded the mansion to an awe-inspiring 204 rooms, establishing it as the second largest private residence in America during his lifetime. And the architectural grandeur of Rockwood Hall didn't just remain confined within its walls, it served as the conceptual blueprint for the Sacred Heart Academy in Cincinnati, Ohio. Designed by Thomas Sargent, this academy took shape between 1864 and 1867 as the residence of William C. Neff. As years rolled on and the Rockefellers' influence waned, the mansion experienced a shift in purpose. Transformed into a country club, it eventually spiraled into bankruptcy amid the financial ruin of the Great Depression. Subsequently, John D. Rockefeller Jr. gained control of the property, demolishing a majority of the mansion in 1942. Before its incorporation into Rockefeller State Park Preserve, the mansion passed through a series of custodians, including tech giant IBM. What remains today is but a fragment of its former self, a nostalgic gatehouse and terraced foundations, remnants that tell the tale of an age of luxury and ambition along the Hudson River. Architectural features that set Rockwood Hall apart included a towering 4-story structure at the mansion's southeast corner, a 2.5-story octagonal tower, and an elegant porte-cochere that seamlessly connected the two. The mansion reveled in lavish verandas and a stone-roofed patio that hugged its perimeter. Its roof was a work of art, adorned with red-tiled firebrick and crowned with an ornate gilded weather vane. Inside, the mansion was an epitome of finery. The first floor was a microcosm of opulence, home to an entrance hall, drawing room, library, music room, and various other chambers designed for leisure and refinement. Mosaic floors, walls crafted from American oak, and intricately designed papier-mâché ceilings greeted the eye at every turn. The grand staircase, adorned with an American oak balustrade, was a spectacle unto itself, crowned by a glorious dome of cathedral glass. But its innovations weren't limited to visual aesthetics. Advanced features, like floorboard vents for heating and electric buttons for calling servants, imbued the mansion with a forward-thinking sensibility. Fire safety was paramount, as evidenced by fireproof construction and sliding doors in nearly all rooms. Additionally, landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted complemented the mansion's structural beauty with lush external environs. Rolling hills, scenic woodlands, meadows, and artistically designed gardens enriched the mansion's surrounding acreage. Today, Rockwood Hall remains an evocative relic, a cherished vestige of an age of unprecedented luxury and technological advancement, where the whispers of a grand past are carried by the Hudson River breezes through what remains of its noble structure. Nestled in the lush landscapes of Harnett County, North Carolina, Overhills holds the third spot on our roster. Once an expansive 17,000-acre haven, it was a cherished jewel in the Rockefeller family estate. Over time, it evolved, embodying a range of roles and interpretations. Now, the architectural panorama of Overhills was a spectacle in and of itself. Here we delve into some of the cornerstone edifices that marked this verdant enclave. First, the Croatan Cottage, a stately 2-story colonial revival residence. Croatan Cottage was the epitome of architectural prowess. Created by the distinguished New York design firm Hiss & Weeks, it instantly became a landmark in Overhills. The residence boasted a sprawling layout, complete with a flagstone terrace, an informal garden, and unobstructed vistas of the adjoining golf course, capturing the essence of Gilded Age grandiosity. Next, the original clubhouse of the estate was more than just a building. It was the social hub, designed to cater to the indulgences of the elite who graced Overhills. While its precise architectural elements might be varied, the overarching ethos was consistent, a blend of period-specific charm and timeless elegance. Additionally, scattered across the property were an assortment of lodges and cottages, each contributing a unique architectural nuance. Designed with meticulous attention to detail, these accommodations seamlessly integrated with the natural environment while providing the pinnacle of comfort to visitors. The estate showcased a variety of architectural styles, resonating both with the Rockefeller family's preferences and the prevailing design norms. Among these, the colonial revival style was particularly dominant, identifiable by its grand columns and symmetrical arrangements. However, Overhills was also a melting pot of architectural influences, incorporating a multiplicity of styles that added layers of complexity to its visual appeal. While not a building, the Donald Ross-designed golf course was another art form manifest in the estate. The course was a masterpiece, intricately laid out to offer golf enthusiasts an unparalleled experience. From the strategic bunkering to the well-contoured greens, every facet of the course was a calculated design choice, woven into the scenic backdrop of Overhills. Far more than its architectural features, Overhills possessed an undercurrent of deep historical resonance. Over the decades, its identity transitioned from a secluded haven for the Rockefellers to a significant military institution. This metamorphosis narrates a multifaceted story, marking divergent epochs in the estate's storied existence. Occupying the fourth slot in our chronicle of historical marvels is Abbeeton Lodge, originally known as the Playhouse. Nestled within the expansive grounds of the Pocantico Center, the lodge serves as a hub for a myriad of activities and initiative, each resonating with the philanthropic spirit of the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. Renamed in 2018, Abbeeton Lodge embodies the values of unity and progressive philanthropy, reflecting the ambience of the Rockefellers' early abode. Interestingly, the tale of Abbeeton Lodge finds its roots in an earlier structure of the same name. This quaint wooden establishment, gracefully situated downhill from Kikuit, the residence of John D. Rockefeller and Laura Spellman Rockefeller, marked a cherished familial gift in 1901. Picture a home adorned with oak paneling and flooring, radiating a warmth that welcomed anyone who entered its domain. For years, the lodge was the heartbeat of the Rockefeller family, a sanctuary where 5 sons and daughters grew, laughed, and shared life's many highs and lows. However, the tide of time turned in 1937 when the senior Rockefeller passed away. John and Abby relocated to Kikuit, leaving the original lodge largely uninhabited for nearly 10 years. Despite its dormancy, the wooden edifice demanded continual maintenance. With none of the offspring returning, the lodge faced an inevitable demolition in 1946. Yet the essence of Abbeeton Lodge was too potent to be forgotten. In 1987, younger generations revived its spirit by forming Abbeeton Lodge, Incorporated, a not-for-profit entity aimed at orchestrating family gatherings and social events. But in 1924, an effort to immortalize the family legacy was undertaken by John D. Rockefeller, Jr. He enlisted architect Duncan Candler to create a playhouse, echoing the architectural elegance of the original lodge. This Tudor-style masterpiece, finished in 1927, stands as an enduring tribute to the Rockefeller family's dedication to their lineage. Inside the modern-day Abbeeton Lodge, you are greeted by a stone-floored lobby punctuated by portraits of the Rockefeller patriarch and matriarch. Further in, an intimate card room beckons, its chairs ornamented with needlepoint craftsmanship, courtesy of Abby Aldrich Rockefeller. The indoor pool area is a feast for the eyes, its walls and floors adorned with vibrant Mexican Talavera tiles. The adjacent gallery houses a grand fireplace and architectural relics from the family's Gilded Age residence in New York City, each element contributing to the rich narrative of the space. Today, the stewardship of Abbeeton Lodge is undertaken by the National Trust for Historic Preservation, operated by the Pocantico Center under the auspices of the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. Bequeathed by David Rockefeller, this majestic venue continues its philanthropic mission, ensuring that its legacy will be cherished by future generations. And the final narrative in our exploration of historic mansions unfurls like a romance novel brought to life. Picture this. It's June 1924, and the SS Homeric is setting sail for the Paris Olympics. On board is James Stillman Rockefeller, the charming Yale crew team captain. While the ship offers him a rigorous practice schedule by day, it also provides resplendent dance nights to enjoy. Amidst this whirlwind of athleticism and glamour, James finds himself utterly captivated by Nancy Carnegie, a vivacious debutante and the granddaughter of steel magnate Andrew Carnegie. As fate would have it, their connection deepens against the backdrop of James's gold medal victory in rowing at Paris. Fast forward a year, and the couple's love story crescendos into a grand wedding at the Carnegie Estate on Cumberland Island, Georgia. A sprawling 11-acre plot in Greenwich, Connecticut, becomes their wedding gift and the canvas upon which they would paint their lifelong dreams. With the same spirit that guided them through their whirlwind courtship, they embarked on an architectural adventure, enlisting Auguste Noel and George McCulloch Miller, the minds behind the iconic Whitney Museum. What emerged was Rockfields, a 19,000-square-foot Georgian-style marvel dressed in rich red brick. Imagine soaring ceilings, multiple fireplaces, a pantheon of bedrooms, and a living room featuring expansive windows that provided panoramic views of an English boxwood garden and a wisteria-laden gazebo. As the decades turned, Rockfields bore witness to the rhythms of time. 3 years following James's death in 2004, the property transitioned into the care of a financier who invigorated it with modern touches. The mansion found its next chapter in 2009, with owners enamored by aesthetics and the arts. For these stewards, the mansion's magnetic allure was palpable from the first glimpse of its winding driveway. Renovations were imminent but carefully planned. An extensive landscape overhaul introduced 53 new maple trees and a rejuvenated gazebo. In came architects Timothy Haynes and Kevin Roberts, renowned for transforming spaces into artistic marvels, and the renovations were nothing short of transformative. The foyer saw its red-orange American cherry floor give way to a checkered pattern of deep burgundy marble and cream French limestone, a nod to the grandeur of British estates. The formal dining room was reimagined with antiqued mirrored walls, enveloping the space in a soft, inviting glow. Furthermore, illumination assumes a crucial role throughout the home, and the owners, with their eclectic artistic tastes, integrated dynamic light features and vibrant panels from the Meersburg hunts of Maximilian, a 16th century treasure. While the renovations added modern flair, they also respected the mansion's rich history. Original blueprints from 1929 and a long-since deactivated telephone switchboard serve as nostalgic touchpoints. Thus, the experience of being in Rockfields is almost ethereal. Each door, heavy with the weight of history, opens to reveal corners imbued with stories from the past, making this mansion a living, breathing monument to enduring love and timeless elegance. Imagine you were born as an heir to a legendary dynasty of immense and unfathomable wealth. What would you decide to do with your career? Certainly many of the old money scions we've studied on this channel decided to keep it simple, following the well-worn path of privilege and exclusive access to the world's most elite circles. And yet a few, like the enigmatic figure we'll cover today, did the exact opposite. Undoubtedly, Michael Rockefeller, raised in the soft embrace of a surname that is synonymous with vast wealth, and was not incidentally the son of a future vice president of the United States, is just one of those unique old money heirs who chose to march to the beat of his own drum, with potentially fatal consequences. Indeed, his journey from the comforting halls of Harvard University to the labyrinthine corners of a South Pacific jungle is a tale worthy of a Hollywood script, meeting at the intersection of privilege, power, and absolute danger. In today's episode, we'll share the full saga, from the silver spoon to the silver screen, of Michael Rockefeller, the Rockefeller heir who disappeared and never came back. In the chronicles of American old money dynasties, the ascent of the Rockefeller family is a saga steeped in industrial innovation, political sway, and philanthropic undertakings. Quite naturally, this storied surname traces back to John D. Rockefeller Sr., the architect of the Standard Oil Company, a pioneering trust in the U.S. business landscape, reigning supreme over the oil domain. Indeed, John D. Rockefeller's shrewd business tactics and visionary investments revolutionized the industry, transforming perceived waste into lucrative byproducts. And his relentless expansion approach, marked by the acquisition of smaller entities, laid the groundwork for contemporary American capitalism. By 1882, his empire, Standard Oil, commanded an astounding 90% of control over the nation's refineries. And beyond the realms of oil, Rockefeller's reach extended to the political sphere. His commercial methodologies spurred the inception of antitrust laws and bolstered union rights. Despite facing criticism over his wealth accumulation methods, the outcomes of his business strategies and philanthropic ventures have been profoundly beneficial. Furthermore, politically speaking, the Rockefellers gained prominence between the late 1800s and early 1900s. The Rockefeller Republicans, a faction within the Republican Party from the 1930s to the 1970s, championed moderate to liberal domestic policies, endorsing social welfare and the continuation of New Deal programs. And their advocacy for robust business and Wall Street ties underlined a vision of ostensibly harmonizing public interests with private entrepreneurship. Furthermore, philanthropy played a central role in the Rockefeller legacy. Upon retiring in 1896, John D. Rockefeller Sr. dedicated himself to charitable causes, donating immense wealth in his twilight years. Therefore, the sustained generational wealth of the Rockefeller family is attributed to a mix of diversified investments, philanthropic activities, strategic financial management, and emphasis on family governance and education. And today, the Rockefeller fortune is distributed among over 70 heirs. Now, one of these heirs, Michael Clark Rockefeller, was born into the family on the 18th of May, 1938. The youngest of Nelson and Mary Todhunter Rockefeller's children, Michael was born into a world of affluence and privilege. You see, his father, Nelson Rockefeller, served as New York governor and even vice president of the United States, while his grandfather, John D. Rockefeller Jr., was a notable American financier and philanthropist, carrying on the family tradition of rapaciously amassing wealth and then breathlessly trying to give much of it away. Raised in Manhattan's family townhouse and the Westchester County estate, Michael's early life was marked by luxury. However, he exhibited a passion for the arts and a strong independent streak from a young age, and his inquisitive nature hinted at his later interests and pursuits that could be classed as unique for a Rockefeller. Michael's educational journey began at the Buckley School in New York City, followed by Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire. At Exeter, he excelled as a student senator and varsity wrestler, and he later continued his academic pursuits at Harvard University, graduating cum laude with a degree in history and economics. But Harvard was not just an academic milestone for Michael. It was also a period of personal growth and exploration, particularly in art and anthropology. And the Rockefeller family's deep involvement in the arts, underscored by Michael's grandmother Abby Aldrich Rockefeller's role in founding the Museum of Modern Art and his father's establishment of the Museum of Primitive Art, undoubtedly influenced Michael's affinity for artistic endeavors. Specifically, he developed a keen interest in primitive art, a term then used for non-Western art forms, particularly those of indigenous peoples. However, as we'll see in a minute, it was tragically this interest in primitive art that would lead young Michael into a mysteriously quiet part of the world, where few Westerners, let alone heirs to one of the richest family fortunes in world history, had ever been. In stark contrast to his illustrious family, known for their pivotal role in bending Western institutions to their will, Michael Rockefeller harbored a profound attraction to foreign cultures, travel, and the arts. His fascination with anthropology and art was nurtured at Harvard University, where he graduated cum laude in history and economics. At Harvard, Michael was recognized as a, quote, quiet artistic spirit, veering away from the expected career path in banking or finance that his family anticipated. Instead, he was drawn to his family's Museum of Primitive Art and its showcase of indigenous art, particularly captivated by the Asmat people of Papua New Guinea. Post-Harvard, Michael joined a documentary crew from the Peabody Museum to film the Dani and Hubula indigenous people in Western Netherlands, New Guinea, and this venture deepened his interest in indigenous cultures, particularly the Asmat. To be specific, Michael's primary ambition was to introduce a significant collection of indigenous art to New York, a notable divergence from his family's traditional pursuits. Now, Michael's journey into the world of the Asmat began with a trip to New Guinea in March 1961 as part of a Harvard Peabody expedition. And his role as a sound recordist and photographer involved documenting the Grand Valley Dani, a group relatively isolated from external contact. Furthermore, this experience further fueled his passion for the Asmat tribe, known for their unique art and one of the last surviving Stone Age cultures. Just 2 months later, driven by a spirit of adventure and a quest to document a vanishing frontier, Michael quickly returned to New Guinea. This was because he was eager to delve even deeper into the Asmat culture, documenting their customs and beliefs. Thus, his second time in New Guinea, from May to July 1961, was spent immersing in the Asmat way of life, particularly fascinated by their 6-meter bisje poles, central to their spiritual practices and headhunting rituals. But Michael's engagement with the Asmat culture extended beyond observation to active participation. He busied himself with collecting and trading for Asmat artifacts, aiming to document the context of their creation. And despite the known risks associated with the Asmat's practice of revenge killings, Michael's dedication to understanding and preserving their culture was unwavering. Ominously, in November 1961, Michael Rockefeller would pen a letter reflecting on his experiences with the Asmat culture in New Guinea. At the time, he likened it to a complex puzzle, one he was just beginning to understand. This introspection underscored his deep commitment to understanding and preserving the intricate Asmat society and its art forms. Then, Michael's last known expedition commenced on the 17th of November 1961, aimed at acquiring Asmat carvings. Despite the perilous nature of New Guinea's terrain and the unpredictable Asmat customs, he never veered from his pursuit. This final foray was thus not just an exploration, but a testament to his growing obsession with the Asmat culture. Yet tragedy struck on the 19th of November 1961 when Michael vanished in the Asmat region of southwestern Netherlands, New Guinea. The day had begun with a journey between the villages of Agats and Atisjay in a 40-foot dugout canoe, which capsized in the Arafura Sea's turbulent waves. Stranded at sea, Michael and Dutch anthropologist René Wassing clung to the overturned vessel. After 24 hours, fearing they would drift further out to sea, Michael, equipped with a makeshift life preserver, decided to swim for the distant shore, while Wassing stayed with the boat. This was the last time Michael was seen. And the disappearance of Governor Nelson Rockefeller's son triggered an immediate and massive search operation. The Dutch government, wrestling with colonial challenges in the east, mobilized extensive resources, deploying ships, crews, and airplanes. The Rockefeller family, leveraging their wealth and political connections, launched an expansive search, involving Nelson Rockefeller and his wife flying to New Guinea to join the efforts. Yet, sadly, despite these exhaustive efforts, no trace of Michael was found. In the wake of Michael's disappearance, a maelstrom of rumors and theories arose. Speculation ranged from him being killed by headhunters or wildlife to being kidnapped or living among the indigenous people. The Dutch government, keen to maintain control in New Guinea, suppressed stories suggesting Michael had been killed by natives. However, as reports persisted, the Rockefeller family, profoundly impacted by the loss, held to the belief that Michael drowned. But what exactly happened on that day, in November 1961? This enduring mystery continues to captivate the imagination, a poignant reminder of the enigmatic nature of Michael Rockefeller's last journey. Next, let's discuss some of the most popular theories about what happened to this lost Rockefeller and find out what lies beneath. Over the years, two prominent theories have emerged regarding the fate of Michael Rockefeller in 1961. These theories, the cannibalism theory and the escape and integration theory, offer contrasting narratives of his possible end. The cannibalism theory posits that Michael Rockefeller became a victim of the cannibalistic rituals of the Asmat tribe. This theory gained traction through rumors and media speculations, suggesting he had, quite literally, been killed and consumed by cannibals. Anthropologist Carl Hoffman, delving into this theory, claimed to have received confessions from villagers in Otsianep about cannibalizing Rockefeller. Hoffman's research encompassed accounts from priests, a Dutch patrolman, and interviews with tribesmen allegedly connected to the killers. However, despite the weight of these accounts, Hoffman remained non-committal in his conclusion, leaving the theory without concrete evidence, largely based on anecdotal findings. On the other hand, the escape and integration theory suggests that Rockefeller might have survived and assimilated into the Asmat culture. This theory was partially fueled by a photograph depicting a light-skinned man among the tribe, leading to speculation that it could have been Rockefeller. Documentary filmmaker Fraser Heston, exploring this angle, found the photo provocative but inconclusive, and photographer Malcolm Kirk expressed skepticism about this interpretation. Therefore, the true nature of Michael Rockefeller's disappearance continues to elude clarity. Over time, the lack of definitive evidence has made it challenging to substantiate any of the theories. But again, The Rockefeller family has consistently held that Michael drowned, with his sister Mary voicing her concern that the mystery of his death has overshadowed his life's work and achievements. Subsequently, in the 21st century, renewed interest in the case spurred fresh investigations and documentaries. The 2011 documentary, The Search for Michael Rockefeller, revisited the enigmatic disappearance with updated information and additional footage, seeking to unravel the mystery that had captivated public interest for decades. In coping with Michael's disappearance, the Rockefeller family navigated through a spectrum of emotions and responses, including hope, acceptance, and a desire for privacy. In the immediate aftermath, hope prevailed, with Nelson Rockefeller, Michael's father, personally chartering a jet to aid in the search. However, as the exhaustive search efforts proved fruitless, the family came to accept the conclusion that Michael had drowned. Over the years, the Rockefellers have maintained a discreet stance regarding Michael's disappearance, choosing to focus on their philanthropic activities and other familial interests, rather than publicly discussing the incident. From the perspective of the Asmat people, the disappearance of Michael Rockefeller is a matter of complex and sensitive cultural implications. At the time Michael vanished, the Asmat region was a place where practices like headhunting and cannibalism were indeed still prevalent. Thus, the enduring rumors and speculations that Michael might have been murdered and possibly cannibalized by the Asmat have persisted, although there is no concrete evidence to corroborate these claims. Presently, the Asmat people exhibit a palpable fear and reluctance to discuss Michael Rockefeller, reflecting the deep cultural impact and apprehension surrounding the event. In their oral histories, the tale of Michael's disappearance has become embedded, contributing another dimension to their rich and multifaceted cultural narrative. Michael Rockefeller's disappearance therefore remains not only a mystery in the annals of exploration and adventure, but also a poignant reminder of the unpredictable nature of encounters between vastly different cultures. The story, still resonating with intrigue and unanswered questions, continues to captivate the public's imagination, symbolizing the enduring human fascination with unsolved mysteries and the often unforeseeable consequences of cultural intersections. Let's picture this. You went to bed last night as your usual self, a millennial navigating the everyday challenges of life, living in a world that's often as mundane as it is exciting. However, when you woke up this morning, you're suddenly no longer just another face in the crowd. Instead, you're the heiress to a monumental fortune, carrying a last name that is a watchword for old money, global influence, and generational impact. What would you decide to do today as an old money millennial heiress? How would your demeanor change? And what would become your newfound interests? In today's video at Old Money Luxury, we're going to immerse you in the world of such an individual, exploring the mindset, activities, and sheer aura of a person who exists at this rarefied stratum of society. With that said, get ready to step into the high-heeled and high-minded shoes of none other than Arianna Rockefeller, the old money millennial heiress. Now, Arianna Rockefeller, and yes, it appears her surname is so iconic that she didn't need a middle name, was born May 26, 1982, in the intellectually charged city of Cambridge, Massachusetts, emerging from a lineage that's nothing short of American royalty. Cambridge isn't merely a quaint little hometown, it's an incubator for the most brilliant minds, hosting powerhouses like Harvard University and MIT. And of course, young Arianna wasn't just any toddler playing at the pump in Harvard Yard. She was a Rockefeller, a name that carries with it an awe-inspiring economic gravitas. Indeed, her father, David Rockefeller Jr., has been vigilant in preserving this family grandeur, particularly since stepping in as family patriarch after the passing of the family leader, his father, David Rockefeller Sr., in 2017. Now we should keep in mind that being reared in a Cambridge backdrop would automatically situate teenage Arianna within a milieu shaped by the old money ethos. Places like Harvard and MIT don't just churn out PhDs, they're social engines that propel the fortunate few into the zenith of global society. They're gateways to the power corridors of the world. And educationally, Arianna is no slouch. More specifically, she was a pupil at the Ethel Walker School for Girls, a boarding institution that's essentially a breeding ground for America's next leading women. Think other old money heiresses like Ethel DuPont, who also attended the school, and you're in the right social stratosphere. From there, Arianna Rockefeller donned the Ivy League cloak as a student, graduating with a BA in political science from Columbia University, the very college her sister, Camilla, also attended. Furthermore, from an age where most of us were still playing with toy cars and dolls, Arianna was already captivated by the equine world. Those in the know realize that horse riding isn't just a sport, it's a declaration of social standing. Notable individuals like our late Queen Elizabeth II have an astute grasp of what it means to engage in equestrianism, keeping and showcasing quality horses not just as a hobby, but as an entry ticket to an exclusive society. Thus, in her teen years, Arianna absolutely galloped into competitive show jumping. In fact, Arianna's participation in amateur show jumping events has extended across both the American circuit and European grounds. Thus, from a childhood in the arguable old money capital of the United States, the greater Boston area, to an elite education while becoming skilled at the most old money of sporting traditions, early life for Arianna Rockefeller was indeed right on brand. Now, post-graduation, Arianna Rockefeller decided that instead of immediately stepping directly into the family fold, she would embark on a globe-trotting escapade and even took up a position at the United Nations. And let's be clear, interning and later working at the UN isn't a dalliance, it's a tactical move of the highest order. Where else could a future Rockefeller hone the skills of diplomacy and international politics, the lingua franca of global influence? Thus, this wasn't just about career development. It helped safeguard the family's imperial stature in a rapidly changing world. In 2005, Arianna's life took an unexpected twist when she met Matthew Bucklin amid the tranquil beauty of Mount Desert Island in Maine. And based on our research, Bucklin isn't your typical old money descended consort. He's a startup entrepreneur based out of Florida, a likely stark departure from the upper crust northeastern generational wealth Arianna was accustomed to. You see, in old money circles, matrimony has traditionally been another form of merger and acquisition, fusing wealth, influence, and legacy. But Arianna broke ranks. She didn't marry a senator's kid like her great-grandfather John D. Jr. did. No, she chose love, or so it seems, over legacy. Fast forward to 2019, and we find Arianna and Matthew divorced, notably without any children of their own. In a family where adding to the offspring is often tantamount to adding to the portfolio, this is seismic. This therefore turns the lens of power in Rockefeller succession and influence toward the younger lot. Perhaps one of the many Gen Z or Gen A Rockefellers from another portion of the family line is being groomed for dominion as we speak. Now, the tabloids recently had a field day when Arianna's newest dating choice made headlines, this time courtesy of her relationship with NBA player Enes Kanter Freedom, a man a full decade her junior. And Enes is not just an athlete, he's a politically vocal Turkish-American activist. Although marred by controversies, including ties to a reported terror group and allegations of perpetuating anti-Semitic beliefs, some say he's turned a corner. Enes now finds himself at the forefront of combating anti-Semitism and advocating for human rights, a journey culminating in his legal name change to Freedom to champion his newfound US citizenship. But what does Arianna's relationship with Enes imply for the Rockefellers? The Rockefeller legacy may be long established, but if Arianna has anything to say about it, expect the unexpected. Now, having dabbled in political outreach and United Nations career moves, Arianna Rockefeller has also made an audacious pivot towards the fashion world. In doing so, she unveiled a brand that's far more than mere cloth and thread. It's a visual narration of her own eclectic life, mingling the timeless allure of old money with the bold strokes of modernity. This isn't a departure from family values, it's a sartorial evolution of them, blending her love for horse riding with the gravitas of the Rockefeller lineage. In 2016, Arianna took her equestrian obsession to the next level, a specially curated collection of horse-themed handbags. Teaming up with Bassam Ali, an industry veteran who once worked with fashion mogul Reed Krakoff, she created her opulent accessories right in the heart of Brooklyn, with prices ranging from a somewhat accessible $695 to a jaw-dropping $2,300 for an ostrich skin tote. This is fashion designed to make you sit up and take notice. Then came her 2017 Dorado Beach capsule collection, a fashion nod to a Puerto Rican paradise crafted by her own great-uncle, Lawrence Rockefeller. But she didn't stop there. In 2021, Arianna brokered a deal with the Marilyn Agency in New York, an agency so revered it's practically fashion royalty. Its lineage includes icons like Claudia Schiffer and Kate Moss, names that turn heads and drop jaws. And Neil Martone, the CEO of Marilyn New York, was effusive in his praise for Arianna, touting her unique appeal to global fashion connoisseurs. Internationally, Arianna's reach is stretching even further, thanks to her involvement with select models in Milan. This isn't just any agency, it's a subsidiary of the globally influential Select Model Management, part of Ricardo Silva's empire, and this association has already catapulted her into the pages of globally renowned fashion publications like Mia Le Journal. But wait, there's more to Arianna than runways and magazine covers. True to her Rockefeller heritage, philanthropy courses through her veins like a genetic imperative. The woman serves on the board of the illustrious David Rockefeller Fund, for heaven's sake. Her portfolio of kindness includes focus areas from the arts and environmental conservation to social justice. The list of organizations she supports reads like a who's who of benevolent societies. God's Love We Deliver, the New York Museum of Modern Art, you name it. And just when you think she's done, Arianna takes her act international. In 2019, she hobnobbed with Greek culture minister Lina Mendoni, scoping out opportunities for cultural and business symbiosis that would extend her family's altruistic footprint to European soil. So here's the ultimate picture. Arianna Rockefeller is a rare hybrid of fashion maven, philanthropic luminary, and global ambassador. She's rewriting the Rockefeller narrative, one designer handbag and charitable endeavor at a time, and the world can't help but watch. So what's the verdict on Arianna Rockefeller and the old money archetype? Does she tick all the boxes? Let's unpack this, shall we? To begin with, Arianna's elite educational chronicle is nothing short of an old money playbook. She cut her academic teeth at the Ethel Walker School, following on the boarding school-educated shoulders of heiresses like Ethel DuPont and Amanda Hearst. If you're keeping score, that's DuPont Chemicals and the Hearst Media dynasty. She was essentially in a finishing school for the future influencers of America. Then there's her Cambridge upbringing. What could be more old money than growing up in a place saturated with elite academia? Think Harvard, think MIT. The very air in Cambridge is thick with legacy. If you're an heir or heiress, it's one of the best places to be seen and raised. Caroline Kennedy, yes, of those Kennedys, and Kyra Kennedy from the esteemed political clan can vouch for that. And what about hobbies? For Arianna, it's horse riding, which might as well be called the old money Olympics. This isn't just a pastime, it's practically a rite of passage for the uber-rich. Arianna's in excellent company here. Take Cornelia Guest, heiress to the post-serial fortune, or Charlotte Casiraghi, who has Monaco's royal palace as her childhood backdrop. Horseback riding is more than trotting around a track. It's an unspoken, galloping testament to a particular kind of privilege. And let's not forget the Columbia University years. Attending an Ivy League institution is the academic equivalent of being in an exclusive country club. You're not just learning, you're networking with America's next generation of power players. David Rockefeller Jr., Arianna's own father, and CNN luminary Anderson Cooper of the Vanderbilt line are both Ivy League alumni. Their college years were essentially a continuation of the elite cocoon in which they were raised. Furthermore, if we're taking a deeper look at Arianna Rockefeller's alignment with the traditional old money lifestyle, her UN stint is definitely on brand. Who else do you see in the bureaucratic hallways of international diplomacy? That's right, individuals like John Forbes Kerry, who come from a background of patrician privilege. For these folks, the UN isn't just another organization. It's an extension of the salons and boardrooms where global influence is quietly brokered. As for philanthropy, Arianna keeps it classy and traditional. She isn't one for shooting Instagram lives to narrate to the world how much of a do-gooder she is. Instead, she focuses on her charitable pursuits when she steps into the spotlight. She's following a playbook that's almost as old as her family fortune. Take Jack Schlossberg, the latest Kennedy on the philanthropic circuit. Both are deft in keeping the media focus on their charitable endeavors rather than their private lives. It's like social responsibility is their second language, something they were weaned on along with the heirloom silver. However, let's talk about some twists in the plot. Arianna's romantic choices are somewhat of a maverick move within the old money circles. Marrying someone who isn't from the same social stratosphere is quite the deviation from the norm. where unions often resemble mergers and acquisitions rather than matters of the heart. To add to this modern romantic narrative, they've opted not to have children. It's a departure from the old-school blueprints that are all about securing future generations of legacy and influence. But that's not all. Arianna's relationships have also been eyebrow-raising by old money standards. An NBA player as a romantic partner, and a controversial one at that? You won't find that in the socialite rulebook. Traditionally, romantic relationships were another way of tightening circles of influence, ensuring that status remains intact. Arianna's dalliance disrupts that status quo and hints at a new age worldview that isn't confined to family legacy and social expectations. And let's not forget her modeling career. That's pretty much new ground for someone from her background. The Rockefellers are indeed known for many things, but modeling isn't one of them. Yet Arianna manages to keep the family name shining bright, even under the fashion spotlights. Instead of turning her back on her roots, she brings the same sense of grace and purpose to the runway that she does to her charity galas. Her modeling career isn't a rebellious outburst. It's more like a modern adaptation of the old money values she was raised on. In summary, Arianna Rockefeller is both a custodian and a disruptor of her storied legacy. She maintains the old world charm and philanthropic pursuits that are the hallmarks of her lineage. Yet she's unafraid to carve out her own path, whether in love, work, or social circles. She's old money, all right, but with a flair for contemporary improvisation that makes her one to watch in the evolving narrative of America's elite